glad you're streaming with us today. Well, the House Judiciary Committee is examining the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas.
We've heard from families and a doctor whose patients were some of the victims in this shooting, like little Tess Mata.
Tess will never get to experience the life we had prayed she would live. She will never graduate high school, never fall in love herself, never be present at my wedding. And we will never know how scared she was in her last moments in that classroom.
There's no peace in the death of a child by a weapon of war.
ABC's Alex Presha is covering this hearing for us. He joins us now. Alex, it's hard to watch this. We must, so that we get a sense of the abiding, the eternal tragedy that this represents. You've been covering it for us. What stood out to you during the testimony today?
Well, Terry and Kira, certainly that testimony from Dr. Guerrero and Tess, his older sister, but Dr. Guerrero, who knew some of these victims and had been their doctor since childhood, and then talking about in graphic detail how some of these victims were unrecognizable, and this is something that we've heard. We heard that immediately after this tragic massacre in the subsequent interviews, but it was a reminder today, coming on the heels of this 10th anniversary of Sandy Hook, just how many failures there were in Uvalde that day. But look. A lot of tragedy, a lot of graphic talk, a lot of emotional talk, a lot of tense exchanges. We heard people's ideas called idiotic multiple times. But I think one moment that really stood out was when Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, who is from Texas, asked, a Texas state representative, what he thought should be done at the federal level. Take a listen.
No one took charge. And the sad part about these types of events is they don't happen in a vacuum. Had this young man not had access to this type of weapon, all of those failures wouldn't have made a difference, but he did. And he waited until his 18th birthday to get them because he had tried and failed prior to that.
And so this really gets back to the idea that, look, there were multiple failures that day, but at the end of the day, what many Democrats have pointed out, and many gun safety advocates have pointed out, is the fact of the matter is, had this man not been able to secure an assault-style weapon, this tragedy could have been prevented.
So just describing how graphic it was, Alex, why put the families through all that again? I mean, what are they hoping this accomplishes?
Well, part of this is the moral outrage, right? I mean, and I think, now that it's been some months, again, this is coming on the heels of the 10-year anniversary of Sandy Hook, but reminding folks just how bad this was. And the hope is that it actually, motivates Congress in some manner or another for change. And look, we've seen historic legislation on gun reform already this year. But one thing that the Democrats and many of the folks in that room testifying today are still hoping for are universal background checks and bans on assault weapons.
And Alex, a few weeks after Uvalde, Congress stepped in, sent the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act to President Biden's desk, and he signed it into law. But as Chairman Jerry Nadler mentioned, we've seen multiple mass shootings since the passage of that bill. It's America. You aren't going to stop this it's a plague that we've been living with for years. Aren't going to stop it with a bill. But what did that legislation do, and what else are people looking at the federal government to accomplish?
Well, Terry, first, it's an important point talking about this Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, just how polarizing this issue is. It's the first significant federal legislation that we've had in nearly 30 years on Capitol Hill. But what that legislation did, it included $750 million to help implement what they call red flag laws. It also closed the boyfriend loophole, and it also enhanced background checks for gun buyers under the age of 21. But one thing that it did not do, or two things that it did not do, that a lot of people are saying that, look, I mean, this would really kind of help a lot of these tragedies. It did not include universal background checks, and it did not include a ban on assault-style weapons and high-capacity magazines.
That is the agenda that a lot of people in the country are looking for. There are major majorities, polls show, around some of these issues. Congress can't get it done and won't hold our breath. Alex Presha, thanks very much for that report.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.